There is a version of Pierce Brosnan the world agreed to love. A man in a perfectly tailored suit. Calm eyes. Controlled voice. The kind of presence that walks into a room and instantly owns it without raising his tone. For millions of people across the world, that image became permanent when he stepped into the role of James Bond. The elegant spy. The man who always survives. But that image was never the whole story. Long before the cameras, before the tuxedos, before the fame, there was a boy growing up under gray skies in Drogheda, a small town in Ireland where life moved slowly and quietly. That boy entered the world on May 16, 1953. His father left almost immediately. There was no dramatic goodbye, no long explanation, just absence. His mother, May, did what many parents had to do in post-war Ireland. She left home to find work in London. She was trying to survive. But for a child, survival can still feel like abandonment. Pierce stayed behind. He was passed between relatives. First grandparents, then an aunt and uncle, then a boarding house run by a woman who took in children whose families had scattered for work. No cruelty, no violence, just a quiet understanding that he did not fully belong anywhere. There is a certain kind of loneliness that forms in childhood when the people who are supposed to stay do not stay. It does not scream, sits quietly and waits. School offered structure but not comfort. Ireland in the 1960s could be rigid, especially for children who felt different. He spoke years later about bullying, about teachers who relied more on discipline than encouragement. Eventually, when he was around 11 years old, he joined his mother in London. For the first time in years, the family existed in the same city again. But the adjustment was not easy. London was loud, crowded, restless. For a boy from a quiet Irish town, it felt overwhelming. Yet that city also opened doors. As a teenager, he discovered art. Drawing first, then acting. It started almost by accident when he wandered into a rehearsal at a theater workshop. The energy inside the room was different from anything he had experienced before. Actors pretending to be other people. Voices rising. Emotions spilling into the air. It looked chaotic. It also looked alive. He enrolled in the drama center in London and began studying seriously. The training was intense. Long days, constant criticism, relentless rehearsals. Acting schools do not build confidence by protecting it. They build it by breaking students down first. He stayed. Small theater roles followed. Then television appearances. Nothing glamorous. Just work. But the camera liked him. Directors noticed the calm authority he carried even when he was young. In the early 1980s, a television series changed everything. Remington Steele premiered in 1982. Brosnan played a charming detective whose wit and style made him instantly recognizable. The show turned him into a household name in the United States. For the first time in his life, the boy who once felt temporary had something permanent. Fame. But while his career was rising, his personal life had already taken shape. In 1977, he married Australian actress Cassandra Harris. She had 2 children from a previous marriage. Brosnan adopted them and became their father in every way that mattered. In 1983, their son Sean was born. By the outside view, it looked like a perfect family. Then, in 1987, doctors delivered news that shattered that stability. Cassandra had ovarian cancer. Cancer does not arrive politely. It moves into a household and rearranges everything. Careers pause. Schedules disappear. Every conversation becomes measured against time. For 4 years, the family lived between hope and fear. Pierce continued working, but his life was divided between sets and hospital rooms, between scripts and chemotherapy sessions. On December 28, 1991, Cassandra Harris died. She was only 43. Grief is rarely loud at first. It often arrives as silence. A house that suddenly feels too large. Children's voices that echo differently in the hallway. Pierce Brosnan was now a widower with 3 children. For a long time, he simply continued moving forward because stopping would have meant collapsing. Work returned slowly. Film roles expanded. Audiences continued seeing the confident actor on screen. They did not see the man going home afterward. Life eventually shifted again when he met journalist and television presenter Keely Shea Smith in 1994. Their relationship grew quietly, not built on spectacle but on patience. They married in 2001. Together they had 2 sons, Dylan and Paris. Their family became a blend of past and present, grief and renewal existing in the same space. In 1995, another transformation arrived. Pierce Brosnan was officially cast as James Bond in GoldenEye. The role carried enormous pressure. Bond was one of the most famous characters in film history. Audiences compared every new actor to those before him. Brosnan approached the character with controlled elegance. He mixed charm with danger, polish with restraint. The films became major global successes. For many viewers, he became the definitive Bond of the modern era. But life does not follow clean storylines. In 2013, tragedy returned in a way that felt cruelly familiar. His daughter Charlotte, Cassandra's child whom he had raised as his own, died from ovarian cancer at the age of 41. The same disease, the same loss, the same man standing at another grave. Few public figures talk openly about grief after so many years, but Brosnan did. He described loss as something that never fully disappears. It simply becomes part of the person carrying it. Yet even through repeated heartbreak, he continued building a life that balanced work and family. He expanded into producing, took on roles that explored darker and more complex characters, supported environmental causes alongside his wife, raised his younger sons largely outside the chaos of Hollywood celebrity. The image the world sees is still the same in many ways. The confident posture, the composed voice, the quiet charisma. But behind that image exists a man shaped by absence, by perseverance, and by a kind of endurance that rarely becomes headlines. The world remembers the tuxedo and the elegance. The truth is more complicated. Pierce Brosnan did not simply play the role of a man who survives impossible situations. He became one